recently, I featured the man right over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map in a very cheesy match of StarCraft 2. We had a Zerg versus Terran at the time between Fjant and Kijkwijzer. And Fjant mentioned that he's got another one of those games that may be even dirtier than the series that he played against Kijkwijzer. Now, in case you missed the games he did play against one of the world's very best Terrans, he decided to go for a spine crawler rush, a strategy that is pretty much unheard of in 2025. Now, this right here is a ladder game, playing with the blue Protoss pieces. We have a nickname I cannot read. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay, so what do we do? Why was Fjant excited to share this replay with me? We have a probe going across the map right now. It's a very quick spawning pool. And then, obviously, this is High Grandmaster, right? We have 2 drones making their way across the map. Why would you send 2 drones? I can imagine one for a proxy hatch is a good idea. Hatcheries, of course, are now 275 minerals. Once upon a time, they were quite a bit more expensive than that. I mean, the 25 minerals does make a pretty significant difference. Maybe it's just for, like, blocking? I guess that may be the idea. So, Proxy Hatchery does go down right next to the Nexus. To the Nexus. Bunch of probes are going to be pulled for it. Zerglings are now running across the map. Second drone has done a decent job preventing this, like, full wall off right over here. This hatchery is certainly not going to live, though, but the Zerglings are going to hurt quite a lot. Okay. Secondary proxy hatch. We have a double... a double proxy hatch. Building at the 2-minute mark. On the opponent's side of the map. Ooh, gets the wraparound right here on that Zealot. Admittedly, difficult to get done here as the Protoss. A third hatchery is going to come up. That's a third proxy hatchery, although it's, I guess, the first one being forced to get cancelled and now repositioned right over here. Adepts are coming up. That's usually what you need. I guess he decided to go for a Stalker as well, just for the micro ability of it. This Adept is going to pop. I think we need a... like, at least something. Probably a shield battery or something along those lines just to stay alive. We have the third proxy hatch over here getting sniped in the main base, it seems. Although, yeah, the probes have been forced to retarget onto the Zerglings right now. The Zerglings are getting surrounded. We've got the Stalker dealing damage right now as well to the Overlord. Honestly, any Overlord kill at this point is huge. Obviously, the advantage here of the Stalker is that it's a little bit quicker. We don't have link speed or anything along those lines coming up. Nice retargeting, though, on every single one of those low HP units. We have the secondary proxy hatchery right now finishing up. Do we go for additional link production over here? He goes for a queen as well. Probes are doing a great job, though, and there's still 18 workers compared to the 12 starter drones right here of Fjant. So if these workers in blue can return to mining, this is still totally fine for Protoss, who's doing a pretty darn good job. The problem now is, though, that we have 2 hatcheries done, and the creep spread alone is going to be extremely annoying. Not even considering the queen production, and then also the Zerglings that can now be built, well, inside of the base of the Protoss player. What a dirty build. What a disgusting strategy. Now, Fjant also sent me this. A best of 3 series of Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1, we find ourselves on torches. Top right-hand corner, playing in red, we have none other than ByuN, previous world champion, of course. And then, as you may have already guessed, playing in yellow. Not entirely sure why we're playing in yellow, but I dig it. We have Fjant. Alright, now I did want to reiterate that he is not normally a cheesy player. I've had this problem as well. I think of myself as a macro player. I genuinely do. However, all the other StarCraft 2 commentators, whenever I do any sort of casting with them, think of me as the cheesiest, most disgusting Zerg out there, just because I've cheesed them whenever we faced on the ladder. Yeah, you play macro 99 times, nobody bats an eye, you cheese 1 time, and you become a cheeser. That's how it works. That's how it works. Well, I guess for Fjant, maybe he can recover in this particular series right here against ByuN. At the very least, we don't have a Proxy Hatchery coming up. Fjant, by the way, as of me recording this, currently they're ranked 27 on the European server. ByuN, as far as I know, doesn't ladder on the European server, although I can actually look this up real quick as well, where he would be currently ranked on Korea. Honestly, I'm not sure if ByuN is even really a ladder player, because he plays in so many tournaments. Yeah, apparently the last time that ByuN played on at least, like, this account on the ladder was 4 months ago. So I'm not exactly sure how frequently ByuN plays ladder, because he plays in every tournament. So I would imagine he... Well, not every single one of them, but the vast majority, right? I would imagine at least he's getting a lot of his practice time in just by playing daily events. Okay. Queens are popping out. The Zergling speed's coming up. We have a round of links that did go across. Nice snipey right there by ByuN. Overlord is going to try and get saved. It is a double Marine follow-up, which is real nice. Double Marine actually is really quite handy here. Most of the time we see Terrans making just the single Marine. But against a cheeky Zergling run by like that, having the second Marine is super useful. More links are coming though. So, in favor of a third base, we have Zergling production. Brenda makes a little jump for joy. But honestly, now with Metabolic Boost done, this is a little hit squad of units here for the player in yellow that can put in quite a bit of work. If he can get, like, all these SCVs killed... Oh, lovely positioning, though, here by ByuN. Really good crisis management here by our Korean superstar. Okay. That was beautiful. Marines right over here. SCVs to surround it. Just on, like, a stop command or a hold position command. Hellion on the high ground dealing the damage there, too. The way that the StarCraft 2 AI works in those types of engagements is that since the SCVs are just standing around, the Zerglings do not perceive them as a threat. So if you don't manually attack move onto the SCVs, the Zerglings will only try and attack the units that are attacking them. Meaning that they would only be trying to attack the Marines in that instance, which they couldn't easily reach. Third command center is going to be growing a nice little orbital hat on top of itself. We should likely be seeing some Hellion Banshee production, I guess. Maybe a little bit late here for... Yeah, maybe not. Maybe a little bit late for it right now across the board. Hellions are going to be driving around, though. Try and get a bit of value in. Difficult thing on this map, and that's why I quite like the Zergling run by early on, is that you never really know as a Terran whether or not the third base is hiding over there on the side. Right now, ByuN is finally going to be able to put one and one together, but you can only scout this section of the map so many times, right? You can never really see this entire mineral wall all game long. So for all he knew, their third base was up on, well, a more conventional time right over here. Bunker coming up. Just to stay safe. And it looks like we will be playing ByuN. So no Terran mech, no shenanigans there. No surprise, of course, from someone like ByuN, but if you want to play mech after a nice little early game advantage, it is a reasonable thing to do. Okay. It's a quick lair. I'm expecting a baneling nest because of it. Baneling nest to go straight into baneling speed and then afterwards probably double evo. Alternative play would be to go into maybe like quick mutas or something along those lines, but delaying the baneling nest too long is also very risky. Gas is being acquired over at the third base first. No tech here whatsoever, so I'm thinking this is a Spire. It's going to be dangerous, though, because a lot of those pushes that Terran can go for, they hinge onto Stimpak finishing up, and Stimpak is already almost done. Now the Baneling Nest starts up together with the Evos. Okay, fair enough. But Baneling speed here is certainly not going to be done at the conventional time. And it makes all of those Terran attacks a lot more terrifying. We'll see, though, if ByuN even decides to really commit to it. Evo Chamber block attempted, not going to be in time. Hellion still dealing some damage. Getting whatever value he can. These Hellions, though, they are going to get surrounded and they will die off. 4 drones here in total, not bad. Okay. I think you load up the medevacs with units and at least test the waters here for a moment. Then again, ByuN is going for the 3rd base already. And he's taking it right over here. Bit of an odd one, right? Going for the forward expansion. That may just force him to keep these units in red at home. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's going to test the waters regardless. Ballsy play here from ByuN. There's a handful of units. There is a bunker on the high ground. I guess you could always slip with the SCVs back up towards that high ground and at least not lose the majority of them, but... moving half your army across the map in the little plains over here is certainly a dangerous move. 4th hatchery now is spotted over here in the bottom left. 5th hatchery also spotted on the right. Viking as a distraction. Little Zergling run by attempted. Viking, though, successful distraction. Is indeed now going to allow these Marines to put in some work. Do we have enough to kill the hatchery itself? I think we do. Banelings are getting close now. Stimpec has been reactivated, but there we go. Last second pickup here by ByuN, doing an excellent job. And this Viking, while it is going to die, there's actually a... whoa! There's a little Viking guy! No way! Can we... did you see the Viking guy? There's a guy inside of the Viking! Well, we don't see him now. I think the death animation is not standardized in every replay. I think there's just like a little bit of variety for those little animations. But I saw the Viking guy. Do you know the Viking guy? The Viking. I'm like the Muffin Man from from Shrek. That's crazy. I have never seen the Muffin Man nor the Viking guy before. All right, 2nd factory coming up right now for ByuN. 2-2 has started up as well. We'll probably see a 4th command center. Either that or he's going to be adding on 3 additional barracks. But usually when you go for the 2nd factory, you add on a additional CC instead. We got to go back to the regular game speed. I apparently slowed it down to normal. Okay. Yeah, ByuN doing ByuN things so far. Really sharp micro, really lovely movement in general. Playing the little elevator styles, right? Using that APM to his advantage. A little bit of first-person view. This is what ByuN is looking at whilst playing the game. Look, he's queuing up a lot of different attacks there. Trying to be a nuisance. Obviously, the real play here is the strategizing. Nice target firing here. Picks up a bunch of the drones. Goes into the main base. Still macroing too. You can see his selections in the bottom right. 4th command center was added into the mix. Target fires down a few of the banelings. In the meantime, the attack at the bottom is unloading. We're going to stimp back over there. Once more, a nice little bit of target firing. Boost on the medevacs on the right. Yeah, excellent stuff right here by ByuN. And this is the fate of many Zerg playstyles, I'm afraid, in the current meta. Zergs are mostly punching bags. Now, Fjant has taken a lot of damage. 22 drones is significant. The hatchery going down alone as well already would have been enough to put, well, ByuN at an advantage. Right now, though, ByuN can really start cruising. Lucky here for Fjant is that ByuN decided not to all in him. ByuN apparently giving him the benefit of the doubt, the respect, to not go for a 3-base, 8 command center, a 3-base, 8 barracks all in. It's a very viable playstyle, and one that we see time and time again. Maybe it's due to the creep spread, though, still in the middle of the map. Maybe a scan over here would have deterred him, but... okay. Planetary Fortress is going to be built right over here. And this is all just going to make anything Zerg wants to do more difficult. So, what do we not have? We don't have a Hive. We don't have a Lurker Den. We don't really have any late game transition at all. 2-2 is finishing right now. And that means that Fjant is stuck until he gets the hive. Which means that ByuN can cruise straight into the 3-3 and use this advantage of his to get more ahead. He's also pushing at the same time. I'm not liking this spot here for Fjant whatsoever. He is doing a decent job here, microing against those Widow Mines. Ooh, nice split. It's something. But at this point, you kind of rely on the Terran player making significant blunders. And, well, World Champion Terran players, World Champion StarCraft 2 players in general, not really known for making misplays. Using the little healing shrine over here on the left side of torches. Triple command center added into the mix. Wow. ByuN's playing with his food almost. He's got a 50 supply advantage, an upgrade lead, an eco lead. He's ahead in every aspect of the game. Building up additional command centers just seems unnecessarily risky to me. Like, what's the scariest thing right now as a Terran? I think it would be things like Lurkers, Nidus Worms, the whole shebang. And that will be soon something that the Zerg player has access to. And ByuN is almost allowing his opponent to get there. Maybe this is the first game of the day, you know? Maybe this is the first game of the day that ByuN is playing that day, and he's decided, you know what? Let's warm up properly. Warm-up games are actually a very common thing. Another hatchery was sniped over here on the right. I've never really been a big fan of warm-up games. I don't know. There's people out there that play like 5 games of unranked before they finally press the ranked button. I just sit down and play. Maybe that's bad. I don't know. Am I gonna pull a muscle by not warming up? Yeah, I doubt it. I just go in. Alright. Well, Fjant has been given enough time. And if there ever is a way to get back against one of the world's best, it would be with Lurkers. Lurkers are now set up. It's going to make these Marine Marauder medevac pushes a lot harder to execute. Obviously, with Hive done, we can also go into the 3-3 research. At least once the gas is available. Medevac drop goes to the main base. Yeah, the command center count is kind of getting ridiculous. At this point, you can lose half your SCVs and still be fine. Oh, getting the Lurker den is so big. Oh. Oh. I feel for Fjant in this game, man. This is not going well at all. Nothing really is going according to plan. Honestly, at this point, what you hope for as a Zerg is that Terran accidentally walks into all of your banelings. Maybe you can bait it out with Burrow or something along those lines. We have additional starports added into the mix. Look at this. He's playing way too safe. ByuN is playing as if he's playing against a Zerg who did not have a terrible start of the game. But generally, you make adjustments. A couple of snipes going down. Yeah, there's just nothing to do. Fjant just really can't break through any of this. We are going Liberators. Now, if we really want to play with our food, I think we go Battle Cruisers. But that's just me. The rebuild here on the Lurker Den is nearly done. And I think we're gonna indeed try out the Seismic Spines upgrade a second time around. There's the Fusion Core coming up. I do like the defense a lot better, though, over the last few minutes here from the Zerg than what we saw in the earlier stages of the game. It's just that he hasn't really been able to deal any damage. Cost efficiency here from Terran is absolutely through the roof. By the way, I don't think this is going to be for battle cruisers. This is just going to be for Liberator ranged. And considering we seem to be playing a macro simulator here as the Terran player, we are likely going to go advanced ballistics and then also the medevac improvement upgrade. We're already going high-sec auto tracking, building armor. But you know what? Because of all of this spending here from ByuN, because of all the command centers and all the rest of it, He's unable to really go for a serious attack anytime soon. And that means that Fjant is going to get to +3/+3. He is going to be able to get adrenal glands. He is going to be able to fully upgrade lurkers. He is still sitting at 88 drones. And I'm starting to get a little bit worried here for the Terran player. Like, margin for error is small. It's not like you can just, like, throw these Terran units away and just instantly remake it. As a matter of fact, at this point, Fjant's bank is starting to outgrow that of the Terran. Nice little bit of multi-pronged aggression too, and I wonder if maybe ByuN has decided to go a little bit too far with the greed. Gold base will be acquired as well on the Terran side for some reason. Normally you would build it over here. Fair enough. Maybe it's easier to defend. Bunch of drones were actually thinking about mining out that wall, but already a bunch of liberators have been set up to try and prevent that. Nice Widow Mine connection over here. But this is certainly the type of game that can slip out of your fingers here as a Terran player. Nice targeting onto the SCV that's building the command center. We are sitting at... how many orbitals? Am I blind? How many orbital commands do we have? Oh my god. Am I blind? Command center? Planetary fortress? Is it not there? Oh my god, am I looking over it like 17 times? There is no orbital command on the structures tab, right? Am I hallucinating? Command center, planetary D... oh! They just popped into existence! Maybe there's a maximum. Huh. I wonder if there's a maximum amount of things that can be displayed on the structures tab. Either way. Big attack here from Fjant through the middle. Liberator count right now, though, is starting to grow. Infestor production starts up. Not really the unit we need against the Liberators themselves. Soon we're going to be at 13 Liberators. Oh. Hydras do have their dash ability. Not a bad idea to use that to try and get back to safety. ByuN, by the way, finally setting up this base. Gold, in the meantime, has been acquired, though. And I mean, if you wouldn't have watched the earlier stages of this game and you just tuned in right now, yeah, you would imagine this has been a fine game for the Zerg. I mean, it hasn't been atrocious, but also not one that really feels like it should have ever gotten to this position. Well, a couple of ghosts end up dying. Infestors are now here. Scans, though, left, right, and center. Missile turrets also being set up, just as a form of detection. +3/+3 coming up as well for missile and melee right now for Fjant, by the way. That's nice. Good snipey. Fungal. Oh, he does catch a bunch of the units. Ling Hydra Bane is breaking through some of this. Liberators are taking damage. ByuN, did we just ruin it? Whew, the orbital command, though, goes down to freaking banelings. Not what we normally see, because those structures can fly. Another siege tank is, okay, not paying the price. As a matter of fact, now has 37 kills to its name specifically. Now the lurker count is going to grow. Liberators have been reduced to just a few. Likewise as well, the ghost numbers have dwindled quite a lot. Ooh. That Widow Mine detonation is really nice, though. Snipies are still going to be good as well onto Hydralisks. But here comes the next wave of the swarm. And this is why we don't play with our dinner. Yeah. This is why playing with your food is heavily frowned upon. Bad table manners here by ByuN. Should have ripped off the band-aid when he had the choice. Honestly, though, this is still not an absolutely terrible spot here for ByuN. What's really nice is that he still has a lot of orbital commands to fall back to. He still has a bank. He still has his side of the map covered very nicely. He did also snipe this base over here. He's still certainly in this. But this does show you the fragility of the late game as a Terran player. If you make this kind of move against the likes of Serral, I think he will claw his way back into the game. Not to take anything away here from Fjant's performance, obviously. He's doing a really good job. 500 average actions per minute so far in this game. That is incredibly quick. But Serral, of course, has that cleanliness to his games that just looks kind of ridiculous and impossible to copy. Oh my god, this is not a good fight, though, for the Zerg, I don't think. Yeah, the Liberators, man. They are providing freedom to everybody. Mirrored expansion from the right side of the map is going to be brought on over to the left. Planetary Fortress comes up. Bunch of missile turrets as detectors, as anti-air. And that's that hatchery falling yet again. Awkward. Both players really want to have the mineral field. Yeah, sharing is not something we generally do in StarCraft. We don't play with our food and we don't share. Those are the two things that my mom taught me as well. When I was just a little loco, never share is what she told me. Gobble up all those minerals for yourself, little loco. That's also my rep name these days. Lil L to the Oko Loco. Okay, nobody calls me that. Anyways. Subscribe to my SoundCloud. Is that still a thing people do? I don't know. Ooh, Zerglings are starting to rep through, but the problem is you kind of need a switch to like Corruptors or something along those lines, and that's obviously being prevented by the massive missile turrets. So really your only choice of anti-air here for the Zerg is Hydralisks, and they are not that useful here. Yeah. I think still ByuN is doing a really nice job. It's a bit messier, it's a little bit dirtier than it originally was intended. But I still think he is in a position where he can be pretty happy. He's also building even more command centers, by the way. Yeah. I think this is a slow suffocation right here for the Zerg. It's honestly hard to say what sort of unit composition you really build against it. One of your options, of course, would be like Night Display to try and go around. Because if ByuN is able to slowly move out like this and keep gobbling up more and more portions of the map, at some point you will just suffocate here as a Zerg. Like you're just not going to be able to really... It's a slow squeeze here, right, from ByuN, but you're not really going to be able to contest with this. This base is a very easy snipe away. Look, more missile turrets, more Liberators. The only way I think you can ever strike back here is with like Night Display or something along those lines. But if you want to do that, you preferably need like multiple Niduses. 2 Night-Eye. 2 Niduses. Too expensive. The normal counter to these ranged libs is, of course, Corruptors. But unupgraded Corruptors against, well, soon-to-be fully upgraded libs? It's not going to do too well, especially with all the missile turret guys and the building armor on those missile turrets. And then also the high-sec auto-tracking, which adds additional range to the missile turrets. And make Corruptors pretty flimsy. Yeah, Vipers are a decent choice. But obviously, there's so many ghosts that a sniper or an EMP can make very quick work of it. Ultimately, this is looking to me like a game where ByuN is still having it firmly under his control. But it's also very much so due to the early game just really not going nicely for Fjant. He is still maxed, by the way. He still has a lot of resources available too. A massive Zergling swells through all of the liberation circles. Planetary Fortress in a tactical position is nice. In the meantime, we have a ghost drop. Mostly ghosts. Right over here on one of the Zerg's expansions. Cloak has been activated on the ghosts over here, though, and there's no detection nearby. I guess we can use Fungal Not a bad play here in the end. Fungal also reveals the cloak units. Zerglings do break through right now, and this third base that ByuN took at like minute 8 is finally getting overwhelmed. Still, we have a planetary over here. Oof. Viper gets sniped. Hatchery is gone. Ghosts are obviously still putting in the work. The infestors are nowhere to be seen anymore. Overseers are also gone, and that means that there's no detection available at the moment. Oh, there's the infestors. But they don't have energy for fungal. Looks like the energy has mostly run out, though, on some of the ghosts. Yeah. It's been a half-hour game plan from ByuN, but he does indeed win the first match of this series. Alrighty. Second game of this best of 3 series. We find ourselves on good old Tokamak. ByuN doing what ByuN does best. Grab the reins of the game and then never let go. I think he could have made it a bit easier for himself, but hey, at least, you know, he's properly warmed up now. No proxy hatcheries, no spine crawler rushes, none of that this time around. Third hatchery is already coming up. Very fast third command center here actually as well from ByuN. Building it nice and quickly. It of course does mean that he's not going to be able to build up that starport all too early. But then again, how quickly do you really need it? I think this will be plenty fast. Triple command center 111 is totally fine. Usually you switch them over here and then you go for a tech lab on the barracks. So you can swap that one over as well. So the barracks usually builds 1 Reaper and then 1 Marine. In the previous game, ByuN built 1 Reaper and then 2 Marines, which proved to be very useful against that Zergling opener. But it's going to be the more conventional approach this time around. With a pretty unconventional positioning on that CC over here, though. Like, if we would have dealt with the exact same build again as the one from the previous match, I would be a little bit worried here. As the Terran, and yet again, I mean, Fjant is making more Zerglings than the ordinary amount. Hellions, though, are already popping out of the factory. Ooh, trying to get a wraparound. Zerglings chasing everything down. SCVs have to evacuate up towards the high ground. But most importantly, the third command center is already done. He does not quite see the starport. Good positioning right there by ByuN yet again. Waiting for the Zerglings. Okay, well now it's certainly spotted. Probably wanted to raise the depot, but this is still totally fine, I think, for Terran. Obviously, the price you pay here as the Zerg, right, is that you don't have a whole lot of drone production with this sort of thing. So, yeah, you make 12 links. I think he made about 20 in total. 22 even, apparently. You make enough Zerglings that all could have been drones. So every 2 Zerglings could have been a drone. It's the same price. 2 Zerglings to 1 drone. So you end up in a situation where you're economically putting yourself behind. And even though ByuN did take a bit of damage just now, still a few SCVs on idle. These sort of chaotic plays are really quite good, but I never know if they're that great at the highest level. I feel like at this point, when you're playing against Terran players of ByuN's caliber, those random influxes of Zerglings don't do nearly as much. I might be mistaken, though. Third command center is going to land. Additional barracks are coming up. We did have a fake out on the cloaking upgrade. Because of it, spore crawlers have been built everywhere. Okay, little Hellion run by. At least it's going to be attempted. We have the lair yet again, about a third of the way done. That's when you would expect a baneling nest. Baneling nest was a bit late in the previous game, and I wonder if we're going to take it up a bit later again this time around. But first, the Hellions need to be dealt with. Yeah, it's a flimsy dance. But eventually, the fire cars are gone. Okay. Yep. Baneling nest again. Double Evo then again as well, I assume? Zergling run by in the meantime, though. There's indeed an Evo chamber coming up. 2 of them. Very reminiscent of the previous match. Timings are a little bit disjointed here with the lair finishing up and the upgrade starting up. Zerglings split themselves off. They're going to be able to start dealing some damage, and this could be nice. This could be really quite nice for Fjant, although the micro here on these SCVs has been good. Okay. Yeah, 14 workers dead. 6.5 minutes in. 4 have been killed on the side of the Zerg. Okay. I don't mind this. 1-1 starts up. Baneling speed starts up. I wonder if we're just going to play Hydraling Bane again. If we do so, I would imagine we're going to be going into a Hydra Den here in a moment. Siege tank on the other side of the wall off is going to be enough to scare all of this away. Okay. Finally, after Stimpack, combat shields can be started up here. +1/+1 here for ByuN as well. He's going to finish up right now. We do already have an armory, so straight into +2/+2 would be awesome. There he goes. Armor upgrade first, in case you were ever wondering if this was actually ByuN. Of course it is. Nobody likes armor upgrades as much as ByuN. But he did fire up the +2 attack as well. Baneling speed not yet finished. Yep, it makes the marine dance potential way better. If a Terran asks you for a dance, say no. I'm just kidding. Don't go outside in the first place so nobody can ask you for a dance. That's the real life advice. I had a friend who went outside once. And he met a girl, right? And guess what? He never plays video games anymore. He doesn't play video games anymore. I don't want that to happen to any of you. That's horrible. Choosing personal happiness over playing video games with your friends? Choosing long-term commitment over chasing the latest hype of video game? No! Stay indoors, gamers. Don't do it. Even if it means playing League of Legends. Okay, that goes too far. You know what? That's too far. No. No, you should probably go outside if you play League of Legends. But everybody else. Zerglings trying to get a wraparound right over here, though. Banelings! Ooh, almost connecting with the entire bulk of the Terran army. There we go. That's what Fjant was looking for this entire game long. And the previous one. Finally getting a little bit of value. What about right over here, though? This little hit squad could be painful. I don't know if it's going to be enough to kill the hatchery itself. This has got real pushing potential. This time around, we do have a 4th command center, but we also have the 8 Rex added very rapidly. Yeah. This is one of those instances where the +2 actually does have an effect on the game. You really do prefer having the +2 attack first. So for the last few seconds, the last few little skirmishes, the wrong upgrade was already finished. Either way, shouldn't make that big of a difference, but it's putting Fjant in a decent spot. Ultralisk Cavern now coming up. So we have obviously not gone into Hydras here. Instead, it is Ultras. As a European, I'm obligated to call it Ultras. That's what every Zerg pro gamer calls it. You know why? They all say Ultra. Because Serral calls them that. Mutas and Ultras. Changing the vocabulary of StarCraft. Okay, let's see. Chitinous plating is coming up. ByuN does not yet have a Ghost Academy, although I'm expecting one here in just a moment. A lot of good upgrades are coming, though, here for the Zerg from Sweden. So let's see what we can do. Messy, dirty, but... I think it's okay. Good defense here by ByuN in the end. Cyril also famously once mispronounced Clem's name as Clam, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about. But for a while, Clem went by the name of Clam instead, which I thought was pretty funny. Planetary Fortress coming up right now. Ooh, Balix! Oh, that's juicy. Okay. Well, that is awfully problematic all of a sudden. Those Ultras are nice, but those Banelings are even nicer. Yeah, no. Ultras are not very Ultra. I think we all know that. Especially not without full upgrades. Although, to be fair, Terran also doesn't yet have the +3 attack, so... +3 armor on the Carapace doesn't really matter that much. Here comes the Swarm, though, and when the Ultras can tank for the Zerglings and the Banelings, and when you have this many of them, I mean, this could be a push for all the marbles. Is there enough for Fjant to break through this? It's into a choke point, into a Terran with a concave, but there's no Ghost, no Liberators, half the army gets stuck, and maybe a stutter step micro is phenomenal, but you can't stutter step when there's nowhere to run. GG. And that means it all comes down to Last Fantasy. Final game in this best of 3 series. We have Fjant spawning at the top of the map. ByuN spawning on the right side. It's going to be a double barrack start. Very common, it seems at least, on this map, in this matchup. If there ever was a moment for Zerg to go for a cheesy opener, I always kind of feel like a map like this does lend to itself. Yeah, it lends itself quite nicely for it. Then again, obviously, if you, well, go for a proxy hatch, you do have to figure out where your opponent is. Alright. We should be seeing a command center in a moment as well here for ByuN, but for the time being, it's going to be a wall off. And what's nice about this build is that not only can you put a lot of pressure on the Zerg player, it's also pretty dang safe. You don't really have anything that you can lose to at this point in the game, at least, in like the next few minutes, as long as your Reaper micro is good. Now, obviously, that is the big if. But ByuN, he has been responsible single-handedly for at least 2 Reaper nerfs over the years. So, I think he can pull it off. Okay. Reaper number uno goes in. And we can begin the dance. Terran players are very good at dancing. We've noticed this with ByuN, we've noticed it with Clem. I mean, I've got, you know, images of Hero Marine imprinted in my brain of him dancing at previous Home Story Cups. I think we can all say that Terrans definitely are, you know, the best dancers. But they also have a, you know, they have time for a social life, and that makes a big difference too. Zerg players all the way grinding. Protoss players always online. The Terran chats, they take the weekend off, man. Okay, let's see. Third command center? Nope, not yet. It's gonna be the natural for now. Probably have one coming out. There it is, inside of the main base. Now, Fjant did also make a third hatchery over here. Yeah, ByuN did poke in just to check. Ooh, really? Fjant's hiding a baneling nest. Apparently, we're going to try and do a Ling Flood into a baneling all-in. You know what? I can't blame him. Try to hide a bunch of Zerglings, go for one big push. Oftentimes what happens, right, is players will start up Stimpack right over here. Yep, there it is. If you can deny that upgrade alone, you might already find yourself in a decent spot. There's usually no Hellions with this type of follow-up here for Terran. Nicely done. Ooh. Yeah, I think those Zerglings, though, should have been at the bottom of the map to morph them into Banelings. The gas mining here is spotted. The lack of a lair, the lack of everything is spotted, although it would be a reasonably early lair. Yeah, none of this is too terrible. Let's see. Already though, ByuN is fishy. Yeah, ByuN knows that something is not quite right. He starts up a safety bunker and a double-layered wall off. This is going to get messy, but I think ByuN has sniffed out what Fjant is preparing. Soon, the banelings are going to knock on the front door, and there they go. 5 banelings, of course, for a supply depot. Already, we have the Zerg army going around the side. SCPs take an insane amount of damage. Oh, no. Mass repair. Is there enough? Benchy is now out. Rebuilding the bunker is kind of cute. Keep in mind, this is triple CC Terran. So even losing this many SCVs is not the end of the world. Okay, sniping Stimpack, though, is painful here for Terran. I think droning back up is actually the right move. Yeah. Okay. The problem is that you're not going to be able to break into the main base very easily. Maybe he could have tried it. Difficult call to make. Oh, really? ByuN decides to deal with this now by going into hyperflight rotors. Okay. I think droning up here makes a lot of sense. The thing is, when you have 3 mules, the Terran economy is really nice. So despite losing 12 SCVs to the bombas, I guess it's still fine. Not quite best case scenario, of course, for Fjant. Best case scenario would have been that the banelings just straight up won the game. But that also wasn't quite perfect on the side of the Terran, so yeah, you end up in a situation where Zerg definitely needs to play catch-up worker-wise, and that's exactly what's being done right now. Using the larva mechanic to make as many of those drones as possible. So this, of course, is the Benchy speed upgrade. They did buff this Benchy speed upgrade. Make it a little bit quicker to acquire. Yeah, and usually with this sort of thing, you do continue the Benchy production, which is kind of neat. So he's not just going to build 2. He's all the way up to, well, soon to be 3 Benchies, which is kind of a lot. It's a big investment at the very least. With Spore Crawler set up, you do have to get value out of this. Okay, 3rd CC is going to head on down to the low ground as well. The new barracks are finishing up. 1-1 has started up inside of the engineering base. There go the Hellions. Trying their very best to get some real value in. Bunch of drones are dying, and this is really nice work for ByuN. These Hellions are soon not to be too useful anymore. May as well use them for something. 19 workers on the production tab, though. Alright. Here go the hyperflight rotors. The Formula 1 Benchies are up in the air again. The Queens are not going to be safe. And actually, the repositioning on the Spore Crawler may just be the unluckiest timing ever. Oh, he was just putting them on the edge again to prevent any sort of medevac drops. Another Benchy or another Queen is going to go down. Baiting out the Zerg right now by, yeah, just hitting whatever he can hit. The Zerglings at the front are not likely to do anything. Spore Crawler is going to reposition. Means that the drones are going to take a bit of a beating yet again. Little Zergling run by to put on some counter pressure. My main concern right now, though, for the Zerg here, not so much the Benchies, it's the follow-up attack. Because what we do not have here is baneling speed. And Terran, I mean, they're finishing up 1-1. They have a pretty decent army. We don't yet have combat shields, which is something that ByuN should certainly start up. Lovely micro, though, here. Honestly, the Benchies alone may be enough. It's just 3 Benchies. ByuN could have probably had like 6 if he just kept on making them. With 6, you can easily take down... Okay. The hatchery. Yeah, there's a bunch of Hydras that just popped out. He decided to sack the units here just to get the kill on the base. But immediately we're pushing through. Now, ByuN has forgotten about combat shields. An extremely uncommon play at this level. Oh, upon seeing the move out though. Combat shields or not. Fjant decides to tap out, and therefore it is our Terran player here who obtains the victory. With a 2-1 score, but a very fun series indeed. I really like how scrappy these games become when you go into like either a Proxy Hatchery or a baneling bust or some sort of early game aggression. When you have to like play the more passive game, you just sort of sit back and absorb every single push. Usually the games can become a little bit predictable. Obviously, it's still about skill and who can actually execute strategies better, but I do really like these super scrappy games, especially when they are early on. In this particular instance, it is ByuN who obtains the victory, maybe to no one's surprise, but Fjant certainly did put up a fight.